Welcome to Beyond the Inbox, an e-commerce podcast brought to you by Drip. In each episode, you'll hear from top e-commerce marketers and founders who will reveal the customer-first strategies they're using to grow their sales, subscribers, and revenue. Now let's get into today's episode. In this episode of Beyond the Inbox, I'm joined by Ernest Capbert, co-founder of TOG Knives, a company that specializes in premium Japanese kitchen knives. Ernest shares his insights on the brand's customer lifecycle and its approach to marketing, as well as the challenges and opportunities facing the company in the coming years. He also discusses the importance of storytelling in business and the power of a strong brand. Ernie, welcome to Beyond the Inbox. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sam. Great to be on.
Can you tell us a little bit about TOG Knives, its history, and how you became involved with the company?
Yeah, so TOG was started by founder Robert Beagley Brown. He's a designer by trade, super smart guy, and he wanted to make the best knife in the world. That was basically the challenge. But more specifically, he wanted to create a knife that was going to work perfect for Western cultures. So, but was using the best steel and manufacturing the best place in the world. So he blended basically Japanese steel with a Western handle, and that's so it's a bit of a hybrid. It's not quite a Japanese kitchen knife, and it's not quite a Western kitchen knife. And so he designed the Santoku and started selling it from his home, as founders typically do. And then I met him through a business that I had, was a customer research business, and he wanted to understand his lead persona, the customer that was driving his business, and he got in touch with me. So from there, we did a bit of work, and then I started to consult and then joined full time about 2 years ago. So yeah, I guess in a nutshell, when I met him, the business was turning over about 30-40 grand, and now we're well beyond $500,000. So yeah, it's been very exciting.
That leads me to my next question. When you and I spoke previously, you mentioned that TOG Knives has experienced significant growth year over year, especially over the past year. What do you think has been the key to that success?
Well, I think it sounds pretty generic saying it, but the product is unbelievable. I didn't know shit about knives. I've got to be honest with you. My background was more fashion and clothing, but since I've come to kind of understand the industry and who used the knives, our knives are used by over 10 Michelin star chefs, and the reviews and what people are saying about them. So I think the product is very, very good. So the returns are very, very low. So that was obviously very, very exciting. I think the origin story is a genuine one. Bert wanted to make the best knife in the world. He's a designer. He went to the samurai capital of the world and found a way of getting these knives made. And if he was on the podcast, he wouldn't stop talking about design, and he starts to nerd out. And so it's everything is very authentic in terms of where or who the person is and where they made the products. And then I guess there's been some it's not quite luck, because we designed that, but there were some aspects of, I think, the vertical that we were in at the time that we started to market and try to grow the business. A lot of them were quite traditional in terms of where they were. It was retailers first, and then they bolt on direct to consumer, whereas we were straight direct to consumer. So there were some advantages from a cost per click point of view, and so we were able to kind of grow very quickly online. But I think first and foremost, it's the founder story, and then the product is very, very good.
You mentioned how popular the knife is with Michelin star chefs. Were you actively going after that demographic, or is that more of a byproduct of the marketing that you're doing for the brand?
Yeah, I think we need to validate this. We need to validate the products that we make, if we could get Michelin star chefs to approve these products, both in terms of the handle and the feel, and also the blade and its ability to hold its edge over a long period of time. If they could withstand the pressures of, I guess, a commercial kitchen, then we were on to a good one. We were on to a good one. And so that was definitely the first. That was definitely the first thing that Bert did. And then from there, not everybody's a Michelin star chef, and not everybody can relate to a Michelin star chef, but there are aspiring home cooks, and that's a much larger market. And so we found validation with the chefs, and we've managed to bolt on some very good third-party publicity, some coverage, just the right title saying the right things about our products, and now we're starting to kind of cast the net a bit further. But that was how we did it to begin with. Yeah.
I want to talk about storytelling. You mentioned the founder's story briefly at the start of this interview, and I was also reading about his story, and it's a really fascinating story. I encourage everyone to go and read about it. But I want to ask how the founder's story impacted the brand's success. You have it in the welcome email, you have it in the copy on the website. How important is storytelling to TOG Knives?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of your listeners and you'd know it just as well as myself. The storytelling, we've been doing it for thousands of years. So ability to convey something, with emotion, and fairly simply is a very powerful thing. If it's coming from an authentic place, I think it's even stronger. And so there's nothing disingenuous about what Bert's passion for knives and the fact that he is a designer. And you can see it when he speaks. It's interesting. The business is only small, and we try to keep it very, very lean, but he's so passionate about not only the design, but just how people respond and use the knives, that he still has order fulfillment phone calls that come through. If no one can pick up the phone, and there's two people in order fulfillment, it then gets laced over to his mobile phone. So we can be in meetings and Bert is there fielding a call from a customer. Like they don't even know they're speaking. And then, he might say his name and then they find out. So I think he's very, that the story and what he's decided to do with TOG Knives and his involvement from design all the way to, customers inquiring about certain knives and which ones they need. The passion is there. We're not going to be able to scale that, but it's incredibly important. And I guess from a storytelling point of view, there's loads of different angles that we tend to use at the business through TOGs. A lot of them are founder-led stories, but then also the use of our products within the range. And again, it always goes back to Bert and his design, and then how each product is used with the rest of the range, whether it be a chopping board or sharpening products. So I think storytelling is fundamental in the business, and it starts with Bert, the founder.
I want to dig into the brand's customer life cycle. So imagine I'm landing on the website for the first time. Maybe I saw a mention on the Daily Mail or somewhere like that. What is my journey as a potential customer?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've got a few going on. We've got a few going on, obviously. So we've got paid media. We've got people signing up to our newsletter and automated flows. And then we've got people just coming onto the website. But people coming onto the website, it is very much it's product led without question. So you can see it. We give the products on site quite a lot of space. And so, giving us the ability to talk about features and then the benefits of the knives. But we also have the origin story that we've been talking about. TOG's where TOG came from, and Bert's passion for finding a way of making the best knife in the world, in the samurai capital of the world. So So from a journey point of view, it's very much product led, and we're doing everything we possibly can to get you to buy a Japanese kitchen knife, and to understand what it's like. And if you're not going to do that, we're doing like a lot of businesses are doing. We've got a pop up, and we're seeing if we can collect your email address, and from there we then have organized flows. And automation, talking a little bit about the business, talking a little bit about Bert, talking about the knives that you might need, or the best knife to buy, and then we back those up with testimonials, we back those up with reviews. So we try to move those who signed up to buy, if not those who land on our website, to get as close to cart as possible. But we do it in a really soft touch kind of way. It's telling the benefits of using the knife. And the benefit of using our product, and then there is an element of community, of course. But that is to put it simply, it's either moving people to cart or getting people to sign up and growing our database, because the database has proven to be incredibly valuable to us as a business.
We love automations here at Drip, so I want to dig into that a little bit more. You have a welcome flow. Can you talk about whether you have other flows like cart abandonment and or post purchase and so on?
Yeah. We've got all of those flows. So we're actually reviewing all of them, just making sure that the messaging is right. It's interesting as you're scaling the business and you start introducing more product categories. You can sometimes not lose sight of your value proposition, but why are people buying these knives? What's the real reason? And so you create one or two or three flows or automation, and you have a certain message on those, and they can run for 6 months, sometimes a year. And so we're actually reviewing ours at the moment, and we're at the same time we're reviewing our flows, and we're also doing some work with regards to our customer base. So we're doing a little bit of market research at the moment, and we're trying to understand more about the people who have bought from us and who have not bought from us. Why? Why have you bought? Why have you not bought? And we're trying to strengthen our value proposition. And in doing that, we'll then start to kind of strengthen the messaging in our flows and our automation. But the ones that we really focus on is obviously the sign up journey is massive. Abandoned cart is massive. And there's nuances around what we say, so that it's not too invasive. You'd know it better than ourselves. But then from a customer life cycle point of view, we've got lapsed and dormant that are going out, and that really is. I think that's probably really the focus right now is getting people to buy their first kitchen knife, and once they buy their first kitchen knife, we then have other flows organized to buy a chopping board and then a storage device, and then get them into sharpening. There's an educational element, and it's all proving, like I guess I alluded to it a bit earlier, that the database has been incredibly powerful for us. The beauty of the database and these flows is we can send promos and we can send value add to these people who are engaged without making the site look as if we're on discount. It still looks premium. There's no 25% off anywhere on our website. But if you sign up and you've been engaging with our emails and our flows, then we will at times share promos at no But sometimes, it's easy to forget that you can still run promos and remain premium without looking as if you're doing it. And we're really utilizing that with our database.
Can you share some examples of some of the typical email campaigns you send out when you're promoting your products?
Yeah. There's a knife buying guide. So each knife has been designed and built for a reason. You could buy the Santoku and use it for the rest of your life, but there's a real charm in having 3 or 4 different knives to allow you to do different things when doing your food prep at home. And so that's something that Bert has actually created, and we walk a customer through what each individual knife is best used for, and it's in Bert's tone of voice. We've actually then created videos of him talking about some of these knives, and then we've also got fairly well-renowned chefs talking about the knives. So it is it's educational, and then it's eventually we hope that we move someone onto a Santoku, and from there, if they bought one knife, all the products that we design are designed to be used with one another. So if you've got one of our knives, you've got to be storing it. If you've got one of our knives, you'll be chopping stuff, so on and so forth. And so again, that's where the flows and the automation really start to play a part in the marketing. But I'm not too sure if I answered your question specifically. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But from an educational point, one of the newsletters that we do send out, the knife buying guide is one that really educates in a such kind of way.
It's fascinating to hear, and I'm wondering if there are certain holidays where people are more likely to splurge on something expensive. For instance, Father's Day. Are you seeing more people buying knives for their fathers? Are there any other holidays where people are more likely to activate themselves and become customers?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, we've never had much luck on the Mother's Day and the Father's Day and even Valentine's Day, but where it's quite a seasonal thing. We really do see massive lift. Sometimes half of our revenue is done in our third quarter financial year, so October, November, December. But in terms of the other moments within the calendar, we've actually not had much luck. And we don't necessarily do too much around those. We really have focused on the premium nature of the knives, but it doesn't say there isn't the potential isn't there to do it, and there could be different angles. We've played with ideas before, but none that we've really executed very well. But definitely worth a conversation. I mean, we had some silly ideas getting banded around the office around Valentine's Day, but again, never really executed it. We focused more on October and December.
Why do you think that particular time of year is so profitable for the company? Is it due to Black Friday and Christmas, or is it something else?
Yeah, it is something as simple as that. It really is. I think when we look at our customer base as well, they're young families. They're young families. They're predominantly male. They're quite technical. I think once the school year's out, they're kind of busy running around, and but then once the school year settles in, September tends to be a bit slow for us. But then October, people are kind of holding on to their wallets, whether people are going to start an early Black Friday promotion, and then towards the tail end of October, it really starts to kick in, and then November, our Black Friday year just gone was phenomenal, and then obviously the gifting average order value starts to drop for sure in December, but I think it's partly to do with the fact that it's when people spend in the run up to Christmas, and then also I guess our customer base. where they are in their lives. We do see a little bit of a pickup, not so much in January. February, March are our two slowest months, but we start to see a bit of a pickup in the spring as well. Yeah.
I just wanted to circle back to the customer lifecycle, because it's interesting that, if I understood correctly, you are bringing potential buyers into the funnel and hoping that they will buy a knife first and then buy the add-ons like storage and so on. I spoke to another founder recently, and they talked about starting with low-cost items and then moving all the way up to the expensive one. One question that comes to mind, and this was something I was dying to ask you. I know Al Rise, co-author of the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, one of my all-time favorite marketing books, was a mentor of yours. And the first thing that comes to mind when I hear about something like this is the law of line extension. How is TOG Knives expanding its product line without falling victim to oversimplifying and potentially squandering sales?
Yeah, it's a great question. Something else that he'd always talk about was the power of a branded scope. A little bit to what you're saying there. Narrow your focus and strengthen the brand. And so it's difficult. We definitely, it's a discussion that we're having within the business at the moment. Line extensions, extending into new product categories. Yeah, you've got to watch out that you don't dilute what it is that you're creating. Right now, we really focus on creating products that are connected to the knife. But we've also got to scale. I think there's a lot of work to do in the UK, without question. 9 million people in London, and a lot of them are using blunt knives. So there's there's still a lot more people that can buy our knives. But from a product extension point of view, and also being able to engage with the brand at a lower price point, as you were just referencing one of the founders that you were just speaking to, it's a really good. It's quite timely in terms of what's going on with us, because we have found, and I'm probably going to get a little detailed here, but I'm just trying to think of value to those who are listening. We found that on Meta, our foldable knives, our small foldable knives, are doing incredibly well. Meta just likes them. It's a small foldable knife. We've got 3 different ones, and they range in price. Now, and when I say foldable knife, just to kind of, it's about 35 pounds. They're not very big at all. I'd probably say about 5, 6, 7 centimeters. But Meta is doing very well. So we're getting these knives out. But what we found with the ads are that people that are clicking on the ads and buying our foldable knives, only 10% of them are going to other pages. So a lot of the people that are buying our foldable knives probably aren't realizing about Bert's origin story, probably not realizing about our Santoku. They're just buying this foldable knife. So what we're doing is working with a company that does real-time printing QR codes. So everybody who buys a foldable knife, a real-time QR code will get printed. That will go into every order that's fulfilled, and it will have a massive discount on our Santoku. It will tell a little bit of the origin story, what the Santoku is, and a massive discount. When I say massive discount, it's a discount we never really run before. But it's for all those people who buy a foldable knife, hopefully getting them purchase their first knife. We don't know how it's going to go. We're literally launching in about 2-3 weeks, but I'm actually quite hopeful. And so we're getting a lot of new customers off Meta buying foldable knives. How can we get them to buy our kitchen knives? And so that if that does work, it's going to be a great way of getting in front of a lot of new customers and getting them to then engage with our kitchen knives. And I think to the question on product categories and product extension, right now there's still a lot of work to do in terms of getting our story out. And I think we've got enough product categories and enough kitchen knives. We're always launching 2 or 3 new ones every year, but we've got enough there, I feel, to grow this business to 2-3 million for sure, without diluting ourselves too much. We talk about products that we know definitely dilute things. we know we'd probably be able to sell quite a few of them. But for right now, I think the focus is really kitchen knives and the knives that complement the use of those products.
That's a fascinating story about the folding knife. I hope that goes well for you.
Yeah.
It's a good segue into one of the questions I had in my notes here was, what do you see as the biggest challenges and opportunities facing TOG Knives in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, we've been through a big challenge over the last 12 to 24 months for sure. The winners and losers with COVID, and we just happened to have a product that people could use and buy in their homes. It went very well. But we've been very narrow in terms of our business model and direct to consumer, and then everybody going back onto the high street once kind of COVID restrictions dropped. That's left us a little bit exposed. But we're finding our way for sure. Direct to consumer is still the way forward. I think the challenges in the future are going to be, and I don't know if there are challenges or opportunities, but I would probably say right now is the growing of our database. That really is that we're spending a lot of money on Meta, a lot of money on Meta. When you look at it and then you start looking at cash flow, and I'm sure there's so many businesses out there that are probably seeing that as well. There's a lot of money going to Facebook and Instagram and Meta, and you want to watch out that you start those things with a 3x ROAS and you're happy with it. All of a sudden it goes down to 2, but because you've created such a dependency on it, what else is out there? How else can you get in front of new customers, drive that kind of traffic, get signups, and get people to buy at that cost? And so we're really talking about it internally about how we, and I'm sure there's so many other businesses talking about this as well, no doubt about it, but how can we wean ourselves off this dependency of Meta? The database is so strong. Being able to engage with our customers, loyalty, not loyalty schemes, and I'm not even talking about points, but just like clubs. After your third purchase, why can't we send one of these QR codes and show a hidden site where Bert is talking about things that he loves or food that he loves to prep? Like really valuable information to our customers to engage with them on a much deeper level. So I think, finding ways to grow, getting people to sign up and 10% off your first order, it's crap. That's not strong enough. We're finding that, sign up to our database to be part of our monthly knife draw. We're finding that is actually working quite well. But we need to evolve that. So it really is about growing database and then telling our story and automation and flows. Klaviyo has been working really, really well for us, but then going deeper and offering, some type of internal club where people, if you actually engage with it, you can get, valuable content that you can't necessarily access anywhere else. And then this loyalty or this community really, really starts to thrive. So I think that really is challenging. The challenge for us is weaning ourselves off our dependency on Meta and focusing on growing this database of very, very, very loyal customers that just love TOG, our story, and continue to buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 products.
I think that's a great place to end. Ernie, where can our listeners learn more about TOG Knives?
They can go to togknives.com. That's the best place. That's the best place to go. And I'll suggest in terms of automation of flows, or if they're interested in what it is that we're doing, sign up. Sign up to our email database, and hopefully they can become a part of TOG down the road with their first purchase. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I've found a new appreciation for knives after speaking to you today, Ernie. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and all the best in the future with TOG Knives.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sam. It was an absolute pleasure as well. Thank you.
You've been listening to Beyond the Inbox, an e-commerce podcast brought to you by Drip. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes. Thanks for listening.